Almost every live service game has bad updates. That is normal. New content always means new bugs. And new systems mean things break. But Hunt Showdown has a completely different problem. Because Hunt doesn't just break sometimes. It breaks in the same ways every single time. And by the end of this video, I will talk about the #1 thing that frustrates me about Crytek right now. And I can tell you beforehand, it's not about the bugs. Before we get into this, I have to make one thing clear. I love this game. I've been playing since early access. Heck, I even made this channel about it. And throughout the years, I've played with a lot of people. And one thing that I've noticed over the years is that a lot of people I used to play with just stopped playing. Not because they got bored and not because they moved on to another game, but because at some point the game was just unplayable. And that is a completely different problem. Every game has bugs. That's not even the discussion here. The problem with Hunt Showdown isn't that things break. It's how they break, when they break, and how often the same problem happens again. So we're not talking about randomness here. We're talking about a pattern. Let's start with the most extreme case. Right now, the game can just close itself. No error message, no explanation, no warning. You're in a match, and suddenly you're back to your desktop. And that completely breaks the core experience of this game. Because Hunt Showdown is a high-stakes extraction shooter. Every match and decision matters. So when the game crashes, it's not just annoying. It invalidates everything you did that match. And the worst thing is, you didn't lose because you were bad. You didn't lose because you made a mistake or your enemy was just better than you. You lost because the game suddenly decided to not exist anymore. And if that happens more than once, people don't get frustrated. They leave this game entirely. The second issue is performance. And this is something that happened multiple times now. A new update releases and suddenly the game runs worse than before. And I'm not talking about slightly worse like 5 or 10 FPS. I'm saying drastically worse. People with solid high-end hardware struggling to play the game. Stutters appear where there were none before. And here's the real problem. Performance issues don't feel like bugs. They feel like the game and your computer is deteriorating. And the worst thing is, you're not just annoyed. You start questioning if it's even worth playing anymore. Because when a game runs badly, it doesn't matter how good it is. You just won't open it anymore. And now we get into things that honestly should not pass testing. Right now, if your scoped weapon is empty and you try to shoot, the animation sometimes does not play or it's just completely broken. And this isn't some rare edge case. This happens across multiple weapons, scopes, pistols, rifles. You see it almost immediately if you play for more than 30 seconds. And that is exactly the problem I'm talking about. Because this isn't just some deep system bug where you have to debug for like 2 hours or something like that. This is something that should be visible within minutes of testing. Which raises one very uncomfortable question. Crytek, did you test this update before even releasing it? The user interface has been reworked multiple times now. And every time, it feels like something new breaks. Right now, the worst thing that happens is that icons overlap. Event bonuses and story indicators stacked on top of each other. Now, this sounds small, but UI clarity is extremely important because it's how players understand the game. And same thing like the last point, if you would have just played for more than 30 seconds, you would have immediately noticed this one. Especially because the hunter that currently has this problem is actually the hunter they used in the new story mission that just released. So it's not really a hunter that was hidden beneath some kind of layer and you had to look for him specifically. No, you open the story mission, you search for the hunter, and you see this bug. So it feels like they didn't even test the story mission properly. Something they just released. One of the most concerning problems in Bounty Clash currently is spawn logic. In Bounty Clash, players spawn directly next to each other. No setup, no information phase, just instant combat when the game starts. And this one here is not just a bug, it's a system failing on its core purpose. And then we have balance. And in this case specifically, traits. Some of the new mechanics are clearly too strong, and not in a subtle way, but in a way where you immediately feel it. For example, the all-ears trait allows you to hear players up to 200 meters. That's not something that needs testing. but you notice immediately. But here comes the weird part. When you spawn into a new match, you can immediately check if players spawned to a compound next to you. This is just obviously too strong and should have been noticed immediately. Let's get to my favorite part, monetization. Before this update, I personally would have always said that the Garden of the Witch event had the worst season pass. Well, this has changed with this update, because the skins in this season pass are just downright disgusting. And I mean this literally. There are people who have a phobia against this kind of stuff, and they just pull it inside of a battle pass. And another big problem about season passes, they're reselling the same skin multiple times. On the screen here, you can find the same skin sold as different levels around the season pass. So you get the impression that you get 4 different skins, but in the end, it's just one skin put on 4 different weapon variants. Crytek has done this ever since they re-released the game, but there's not a single person who thinks that this is the right way to do it. But now you might ask why I think this is the worst season pass. Well, pretty simple. They teased a lot of good skins in the event trailer. Guess what? Almost all of the good skins can either be bought by separate DLC or by bundles inside of the shop itself. So the best skins are locked behind additional purchases. And that creates a very clear perception. For the good content, you have to pay. For the season pass content, we can give you garbage. You're gonna buy it anyway. And in my opinion, they're heading in a very dangerous direction with this. Because players start feeling they get rewarded by paying and not by playing. Something they did well in all the past events. And then we hit one of the worst ones. Just 6 hours after they released the season, they made the big announcement that the next DLC is available for purchase. Players bought it and got nothing, because the skin was bugged. I don't think I have to explain why this is bad, so let's get to the last point. Now we get to the real issue. None of the problems I just told you are new. Crashes, performance issues, bugs, and balancing problems. These things happen in games. But in Hunt Showdown, they keep happening the same way in every single update. Again and again and again. And that is when problems turn into patterns. Now let's get to the part that frustrates me personally the most. Right now, players are reporting crashes, performance issues, and game-breaking problems constantly. But what does Crytek acknowledge first? DLC, store content, and monetization. Hours pass. And then you get a message, but it's just a small mention of something else. But the actual issues, the ones that stop people from playing, aren't even addressed. No immediate acknowledgement, no clear communication, just we hope you enjoy the update. And that's where it stops feeling like a mistake and starts feeling like a priority issue. Because players can deal with bugs, but they cannot deal with feelings being ignored. I'm sorry I have to say it that way, but I feel like they're completely shitting on you guys' opinion. And there's no better way to say this, to be honest. So many people have dealt with these problems over 2 years now. Ever since they re-released this game, we've had these problems constantly. And guess what? Crytek always reacts the same. No acknowledgement about your problems, no acknowledgement that you guys can't play the game, no acknowledgement that they fucked up again. No, it's always, we hope you enjoy the new game. By the way, we fixed the problem with the DLC so you can give us money again. Thank you very much. Oh, you still have problems? I don't give a shit. Hunt Showdown is not a bad game. It's actually a great game. And the problem isn't that things break. It's that they break every single time and the response doesn't match the impact. And at some point, that's what makes people leave.